Did you know that you can learn all the basics about price action in under 8 minutes? And today I'm going to be explaining to you exactly what you have to know in order to become, hopefully, by the end of those 8 minutes, you become a profitable trader and you also be able to understand the market a little bit better, even if you don't have any indicators on your chart, right? So, to kickstart, we're going to start off with support and resistance, right? So, what is support and resistance, right? So, support and resistance, these are horizontal levels, right? So, a support is the level that's so like below, right? So when we're approaching a support over here, right, we are anticipating what to buy, right? So that's what a support is, right? So we want what we just have to have is a previous low. We just have to look to the left and we have to see a low, right? We mark out that low into the future, and when the market pulls back again to that area, we are going to what to anticipate our buys, right? So what I just want you to know about support and resistance is that you don't have to look at it as a single line, but you have to look at it as a what as a zone, right? So remember, you have to keep it as a what as a zone. Remember that market pulls back over here, it not pull back exactly to this point, but it can play around that area before it continues going to what to buy, right? So we've got two types of support, right? So we've got this is a what a reversal support right over here, right? And this is a what continuation types of what type of support, right? So for a reversal, we are simply creating what our W. Then for the second one is the break of resistance, right? So right over here, break of resistance, right? We push up, break the structure. We are continuing the trend, pull back, right? And this is what I call zone flips, right? So that's for support and resistance, right? So, and for support, I'd like to think, if you want to remember, if you are supposed to buy or sell, right? So on support, if you are supporting something, you're sort of like lifting it up, right? So I will support you, I will lift you up when you are down, right? So that's what support means, and resistance is just the opposite of that, right? So resistance, these are the upper levels, right? And you're anticipating to sell when you push those to those what to those areas, and if you're resisting something, you're also like pushing it down, right? So that's what we have to look for on the what on the resistance. And as you can see over here, we've got two types again, right? We've got the continuation, right? This is the what the continuation, right? And this is our zone flips, right? And the reversal forming our what forming our M, right? So that's it for support and resistance. But support and resistance alone isn't going to help you become a profitable trader or understand the market at all or completely, right? So that's where trend lines come in, right? So trend lines, these are so like diagonal support and resistance. But unlike support and resistance, for trend, in order to draw trend lines, you need at least 2 points that you can connect to each other in order to plot where the market might come back or retest, right? So this is what we're anticipating when we're looking for trend lines. So trend lines, remember, they're just diagonal support and resistance. They're just as normal as support and resistance. So they will also work in both ways, right? So they can act as what as a resistance, or we can wait for it for a breakout, right? So over here, this is what we're anticipating, that the market will come here, bounce, come there, bounce, right? So this is what respecting, right? But what does it do when it wants to, what, to break out? The same as the support and resistance, right? So over here, we've got this trend line over here connected this one, two, almost 3 points, right? So breakout over here, a pullback, right? And they pull back to the trend line, and we get our sale, and we continue to go down, right? But usually the market doesn't always move in ways that you anticipate, right? So of course, if you're seeing a trend line over here, right, you're anticipating that I will sell over here, but the market doesn't want to go along with you. So sometimes, not always, but sometimes the market can choose to what to respect this continuation type of resistance, and when the market pulls back to this area over here, and it can just sell off before it reaches the trend line retest, right? So that's another variation of the trend line. So in order to trade all this, right, you just have to understand simple market structure, right? Where is the market going? You have to trade along with the trend. I'm sure it's not the first time hearing this, but the trend is your friend, and it's actually true, right? And I can affirm to that of all my years of trading, right? It's better to follow the trend rather than go against the trend, right? That's why I like zone flips more than the reversal types of what M's and W's, right? So over here, how do you follow the trend, right? So the trend, we just have to look for our break in market structure, right? So you go to your higher time frame and check what the overall time frame trend is, right? So what do you have to do? You just have to look for the what previous breaking market structure. As you can see over here, for this case, it's a bullish trend, right? So we're going what up, it's a buy trend, right? So When you're going up, we'll be creating a series of what? Higher highs and higher lows, higher high, higher low, higher high, and higher low, right? So that's what we'll be doing, right? This over here, this is when we'll be anticipating, right? So let's take this for example. This is when we'll be anticipating to get our zone flips and get our entries and draw our trend lines and all that, right? So you have to understand where the market is actually going and go alongside with that. You don't have to trade support and resistance against the trend. It's better to go alongside with the trend. Even if you are trading trend lines, it's better to go alongside what the trend, because that's the trade with the higher chances of what, of you actually winning. So a downtrend is actually the opposite, and vice versa. The opposite is true. We'll be creating lower lows and lower highs, lower low and lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, and lower high. Right. So that's it for the downtrend, right? So market actually moves in waves, right? So this is something that I want you to actually grasp so that you'll be able to understand completely, right? So market moves in waves, right? So what you have to understand about the market is you've got, I want you to go back to your charts right now and check this out, right? And see where most of the times, of course, there's no strategy that's 100% perfect, but go check this out and see how you can be able to use this, right? So, and remember, if you haven't subscribed yet, support us by subscribing, right? So over here, what do you have to look for? The market is an impulsive move, right? An impulsive, it's a fast impulsive move is characterized by high momentum candles, right? They don't have so many weeks, right? It's large candles, right? And they don't have that many weeks. Right? So over here, we have to look for an impulsive move, and then there's what, a correction. So a correction is so like a consolidation, or the market will be saying green candle, red candle, green candle, red candle, right? That's so like what, a corrective manner in our case, right? So that's what we want to look for in the market, right? So we have to look for an impulsive move and a correction. And inside this correction, that's when we want to look for our entries. Of course, it's not going to be perfect always. It's not going to be a flag always, but it can be a wedge or whatever. But that's what we want to look at, right? So we want to look for our entries on these what, on these correction levels over here, right? You can have what, you can enter on the retest of what, of the upper trend line, or wait for the breakout, or wait for, you can have this type of setup where you've got what, a breakout, right? Breaking out this support level over here, and they pull back to that support level. It's now acting as a resistance. Alongside that, you also have a flag, right? And you can also enter when they will, let's say what, a breakout of the trend line, retest of the trend line. So these are the setups that I want you to look at, right? Go backtest this, and you'll be able to see this, right? So these types of setups, they've got what, they are actually the flags, right? So the flags are so like equidistant, and they are the wedges, right? So yeah, I won't go much into depth because as you can see, it's almost time up, right? And it's, in fact, it's time up, right? But I still think that there's actually more that you have to see, because right over here I didn't show you any chart patterns. That's what I want you to do. That's your homework. And if you are truly serious about learning price action, then you go and learn, you go and backtest this. So yeah, that's it. And remember, you're the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. So do the hard work, especially when you don't feel like it. Peace.